Hey everybody, welcome back to the AM Take podcast. I'm Marv.
And I'm Amy, and we're two parts of this very awesome podcast.
Join us this week as we explore a variety of topics.
And this week we'll be talking the ins and outs of making and maintaining online friendships.
Are online friends real? Can you have the same connection with an online friend as you do with a friend in person? I'm not sure, but what's your take on that, Amy?
Well, I think that, deep connections can be formed even with online friendship, but definitely it's a different dynamic, I'd say, than with in-person friends, because I think there's a lot of challenges with not being able to see the person in person. See to see that friend in person. Like you can't grab coffee with them, you can't grab dinner, or let's go do activities, let's go watch this movie in theaters or go to this event or concert or anything like that, right? So basically the activities that you're limited to at this point with online friends are either gaming, or if they're having phone calls, or I guess you can watch movies together if you stream.
Yeah.
Funny, you and I have done that. I think once.
That's true. Yeah, once, yeah.
Yeah, and so the activities are limited to that. But the advantage, I would say, with online friendship is that because I guess you don't know that person that well, you can also share deeper secrets with that person because there's like some sort of safety in being anonymous.
Oh, so like sharing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to these online platforms and complete random strangers just talking to me about their deepest secrets.
Mm.
And well, the reason why they were able to do so was because they don't know me or I don't know them.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That anonymity, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly. So then even if they shared their deepest secret, what can I do with that information? It's not like I can tell on him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So it provides a certain safety net for that person.
Yeah,
being
absolutely.
anonymous. And I guess that's true because, it allows them to open up more about themselves and about any kind of, like you said, secrets or thoughts that they may have that they might not be able to do so in real life or with people they know in person.
Yeah, because I think that with your very close friends that you know in real life or in person, you value their opinion so much. Sometimes, I don't know, certain events that's happened to you or certain things that you've done, sharing that can be such a terrifying thing because precisely you value their opinion so much. You're just afraid of them judging you.
Mm. I guess it comes from a place of fear, maybe, shame, perhaps, guilt,
Maybe.
and yeah, I suppose it's our need to be how do I say it? To be the same, maybe to have a common sense of bond. And so I guess if you have something that's affecting you that makes you different or able to be ostracized, then obviously you don't want to really tell your close friends just in case they do judge you. But as far as online friends versus friends in person, I think sometimes there's no difference. I think, in my opinion, friends are ultimately friends, obviously, except for one person being there physically and the other person not being there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still have a good time,
Of course.
with technological advances like VR, video games, video calls, and then even planning to take trips to go see somebody or meeting up at a resort or say, for example, meeting up in Vegas, something like that. And then you can still have a good time with them and rekindle that friendship for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And with the pandemic these past 2 years, I feel like online friendships have really blossomed, I believe.
Oh,
I mean,
totally.
it's, yeah, definitely for me, for sure. I mean, that's how you and I met. So,
Yeah. I think for a lot of people too, like for everybody globally speaking, the pandemic has absolutely like facilitated that online friendship making process.
Yeah, and so I'd say like a big platform was Reddit, obviously.
Mm, mm-hmm,
Definitely a degree of anonymity for sure.
mm-hmm.
People can just make an account and sign up and then jump into subreddits where they share like-minded activities or
Yeah,
discussions,
yeah.
things like that.
I know that a lot of through Reddit, I remember joining like this group chat, and then one person started to make like a Discord server, and then I got to meet a few people who I became friends with through these. I don't know if I can call it a support group, but definitely it's more like a social online group.
Hmm.
But the purpose of them making those is because of the lockdowns throughout the pandemic.
Definitely agree.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely agree. So Discord, Reddit, there's definitely forums out there for people.
Mm-hmm.
I know Discord rolled out a function where people can just randomly join Discord.
Yeah.
There are aggregate sites where you can find a specific Discord server that appeals to something you're interested in, whether it's a hobby or conversation types you want, or all sorts of things out there, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of wanted to take a trip down the memory lane, and I wanted to ask you if, like, if you remember the first online friend you made.
Well, I was kind of a late bloomer, I guess you could say.
Okay.
I didn't really dabble with the online gaming or online socializing until later in life, like significantly later.
And how
My
how
first
late
real
are we talking about?
I was probably what, mm, 29, 30 or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so it was I was in Austin, and
Mm-hmm.
I had just moved to Austin, and I didn't have very many friends, and most of my friends were back home. And so I started playing a couple of video games online.
Mm-hmm.
One particular one was Rust.
Okay.
And that's where I made my first friend. His name is Kenny. He
Mm-hmm.
lives in Dallas, and we were just playing,
Mm-hmm.
and I met up with him on this virtual world, and it did have voice chat, so we
Okay.
started talking
Okay.
and started playing together, and he introduced me to his friends online as well too, and so the rest is history. From there, we played other games as well too
Uh-huh.
through the years as well, and eventually I did find my way to meet up with everyone almost.
Okay.
He was in Dallas, other friends were in Georgia, and
Yeah.
so I had a
Because it's
chance
not
to.
that technically not that far away in
Yeah,
distance
that
from
was
Austin.
exactly that was the surprising thing, is that how close he was, and so when I had a chance to go up there, I hit him up and let
So
him know. Yeah,
so what'd you guys do when you guys first met?
it was interesting. I was there for work, and so I let him know that I was gonna be in the area, and we can meet up for dinner, and meet up for the first time.
Uh-huh.
And it was kind of strange, but I mean, I've known him for a few years now, so it wasn't exactly that strange. And we actually met up at I think BJ's Steakhouse,
Okay.
and I was outside waiting for him, and he showed up, and I was like, "Are you Kenny?" He's like, "Are you Marv?"
Oh
And
wait,
so,
you guys haven't seen each other yet?
no,
Like you don't know what you
no,
look like?
no,
Oh my
no,
god!
we
Oh
didn't
my
know how
god!
each other looked like, and it was
Oh wow!
yeah, it
Not
was
even pictures.
no, not in pictures. And so
Wow.
that's how we met for the first time, and then we just talked about our lives and how we got to be where we were at, and it was very interesting getting to know Kenny and meeting up with him for the first time.
Wow.
And we've been friends since, and I still try to find my way up there as well too, to see
Uh-huh.
him. Usually every time I'm in Dallas, I try to catch up with him or meet up with him for dinner or lunch or what have you, depending on our schedule.
Okay.
But
you still talk to him regularly though?
oh yeah, we talk regularly. We beyond Discord, we call each other, text each other, and he's become one of my closest friends.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
yeah, it's pretty good. It's interesting, the history.
And did he ever visit you in Austin? Did he ever travel there?
He doesn't come down here often, but he has passed through a few times and
Okay.
swung by. But we've never gotten a chance to meet up down here, just because with the scheduling and things like that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
But yeah, I found myself up there more often than he has found his way down here, which is fine with me.
Uh-huh.
And then from that friend circle, I met a couple other friends, and one of them lives in Georgia. And when I lived on the East Coast, I did drive down and meet him
Uh-huh.
in South Carolina. And that was the first time we met as well, too. No pictures, no exchange or anything like that.
Okay.
It was interesting getting to know Hunter, and that was fun times.
Okay.
And I did see him again when I was out in Austin. I actually flew out to see him, and
Mm-hmm.
we went to the beach together. We went to Charleston Beach,
Oh, okay,
or
okay.
Charleston, and went to the beach out there. So that was a fun time.
Oh,
And yeah, I still keep in touch with all these guys regularly. So
cool. Do you guys still game together and whatnot?
yeah, every now and then I don't have as much time nowadays, or I don't have as much investment in playing video games.
Okay.
But every now and then, definitely for sure, we still keep up with each other,
Oh, that's fun.
even if it's not in video
That's
games.
nice.
Yeah, it's a good time. I count these guys as one of my closest friends beyond the friends I have in real life, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been an interesting journey. Been through a lot of ups and downs, and it's just good to know that you have friends all over.
Yeah,
Per se.
absolutely.
Yeah. How about you?
My first online friend, I think I was 14, so I
Oh
was
wow.
still a teenager. And I, at the time, was obsessed with this game called Gunbound.
Oh wow.
And it's basically, if you know the game Worm, so it's like a strategic type of game, but you try to beat the opponent team. You've got these like bots or vehicles, and you shoot them,
Oh.
try to make them fall. So essentially, I met this Australian friend. His name is Fong, and we got very, very close. Yeah, and nowadays we don't really keep in touch that much,
Okay.
that often.
Mhm.
I do have
I mean,
him
it's been a
on.
long time, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time. And well, back then I used to play the game daily, and so then I would play with him daily as well. But nowadays, I still have him on Facebook as a contact, and I guess he would like send me a message once every few years.
Oh,
Or
okay.
vice
That's nice.
versa. But I'm
Just to
totally
catch up.
okay. Yeah, just to catch up. Hey, how you doing? I think last time that we spoke, he was asking me if I could buy him some souvenirs from Canada,
I see.
like flags and all that, and then ship it to Australia using his DHL account or something like that. And I did, and it was because of his. I think he opened like a poutine restaurant in Australia.
Oh, what?
It was like the first one. And so he
Wow.
wanted some decor, like Canadian decor. Yeah.
Did you guys ever get a chance to meet up or anything?
Oh, wait, almost. It was, I think he wanted to do, okay, so he went to the US and then he messaged me. He said, hey, I'm going to go to US and Canada. And I think it was because of his research for tasting poutine.
What?
What? Because he was about to open the business.
So
right?
he was going across Canada to do like taste testing.
Yeah. And so he messaged me and he said, like, you want to meet up? Like, finally, because like it's been such a long time we've been friends and we never met up in person, right? So I'm like, yeah, I'm so down. And so he was in the US, but then unfortunately his grandfather passed away. So then he messaged me. He said, hey, like, I'm going to cut my trip short. Unfortunately, I got to go back home for the funeral. And I totally understand. But then after that, we just kind of, over the years drifted apart. I mean, he's got his own life to live. I have my own life to live. And it's it's normal, right? It's normal that you drift apart. Yeah.
You guys are so far away anyway, so it's definitely
That's
tough.
true. That's true. There's like a 14-hour time zone difference between us. So definitely, I never had the chance to meet up with him. Maybe someday.
Sounds good.
But I know that back then, 14-year-old, my mom was not a fan of, of me having online friends.
Yeah.
Understandable understandable because, okay, thinking back at it, like if I had a young teenager that I'm raising, and then she's like totally immersed in this online world and then have online, I would also be concerned because of stranger danger, right? Because I would be afraid of her being exposed to creepy pedophiles.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, g- I guess being a child of the '90s and a millennial, it's interesting because my parents didn't really use the internet or anything in that regard. We were obviously more
Uh-huh.
attuned to using that, but I just never got into it. I guess talking to people online, it was a strange concept to me. It was more, I was still from, I guess, that generation where you met people in person,
Yeah.
and from there it transitioned to online. Sure, like, oh hey, what's your screen name, or what's your AIM account,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
your MSN account, and then you would talk to your friends that you knew in real life who may have moved away or something like that.
Yeah.
But the concept of actually meeting people online was so strange to me. I just coming from that time period for sure.
So what about your younger siblings though?
I think they probably had better experiences in that regard,
Okay.
because after that, online gaming was more proliferant.
Okay.
Especially
Yeah.
mass multiplayer online games where you meet dozens of people.
Yeah.
Definitely, for
I'm
sure.
asking this question because I'm wondering if it's like within the same generation, still a generational thing. Like, say, if people born in the late 80s were more like that, and then people born after the 90s were more open to online friends. Because I remember my sister,
Oh,
she's born in 85. And she's also more of the traditional sense of making friends in real life, like in person first. Not much international friends through online. But the international friends that she's made over the years is because she's been internationally different places.
oh, so she's actually traveled there and made those friends.
Well, yeah, at some point she lived in Singapore for a few
see.
years. But other than that, I don't think she has friends from places where she hasn't been physically.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's just I just never had the avenues to go and meet people online, I guess you could say, like chat rooms, forums, and things like that.
Okay.
It was always, I always had friends in person, and so it was, I never had that gravitation towards.
What you mean to say you've never done the Neopets things?
No, I never. My sister did. My youngest sister did. I never did. Like for me, it was like games that I would play with my friends, or that I knew them in person who would play as well. And so that was my intro to the online world, the online space. It wasn't like the internet for me was definitely a tool. It wasn't like a social hub or a social area for me.
I see.
So that's how I saw it. It wasn't until obviously later in life, like what I talked about earlier, especially with pandemic and things like that, that I actually decided that, oh, hey, maybe I'll try this out and see what kind of connections I can make. And it's been, in the short amount of time that I've actually taken that step to do that, it's been very interesting meeting people as well too. And not just on like a domestic level, but on an international level. I've made some good friends overseas as well. I mean, I met you through the Amy as well. Made a couple of good friends in Europe as well. And so it's been a godsend just being able to talk to people and getting different perspectives, as well as exchange of culture, and ultimately meeting up with them. I met up with a friend in the Maldives, and it was a spur of the moment thing. We've never met each other in real life, and we decided to go out there and we met, and it was a grand old time. It was a great time. I was so glad to have been able to spend that time with them, and it was just transferring from an online friendship to actually like go on this journey with them, and it was definitely worthwhile.
That's
and
fun.
So I can see why people make these connections, because otherwise you would never have met them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same thing for me in my case. Like, I remember transitioning from, say, an online gaming community, met friends through that, and then meeting them in person. Like, I've met some people from Toronto, from a different province, through Gunbound.
Once again.
It went from like Gunbound, and then like I got their contact on MSN, and then many years later, we're all adults, and then they message me and like, "Hey, I'm gonna be in your city for a while. Do you want to meet up?" Like, for the very first time, and it was fun. It was fun. I remember him staying at my apartment and also introducing him to my friends. And we were just having fun. Yeah, he was staying at my place, and I remember staying at his place too at some point when I visited Toronto. And I don't think we're not that close anymore, because again, we drifted apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got his own life to live, and I got mine. But we still talk occasionally, and catch up once in a while. But I'm okay with that, because I'm the type of person to be okay with, like, if I don't hear from someone in a couple of months or even years, the next time you talk to me, it's gonna be as if we haven't spoken yesterday.
That's
We
good.
just catch up and all that. I don't hold it against them. They don't hold it against me. That's just how I roll.
Yeah, I'm of the same mind. My friends in college who I was really close with, none of them live in the States anymore. They're all international now. I have a friend, she's in New Zealand, another friend, he's in Japan, and another friend, he just left he's leaving to Taiwan. And the great thing is I've had the opportunity to visit them, or some of them anyway. And even now I still have the opportunity to go see them if I want to. And so that's a good thing. It's kind of sucks not being able to see them more often, but just knowing that they're there and that I can reconnect with them, and it would just feel like we haven't been gone for very long.
Yeah.
It's just that, I guess, that connection that's always going to be there.
Yeah. And I think that boils down to kind of like a type of personality, if you will, because I know that a lot of people also are not okay with that. If you're friends with me, girl, keep in touch with me, because then I do find it offensive. And for the people who think like that, that's okay. You do you. And that's basically their needs. Maybe it's like a type of love language, like constant communication, but amongst friends,
Yeah.
And at this point, it boils down to incompatibility, because I have met some people like that online, and at first it was basically constant communication, and it drains me. It really does. And though
you're the introvert, right?
Even though I'm talking with them, and like I do enjoy my conversations with them and vice versa, but it does drain me. Like I can't constantly daily stay on like a 3-hour phone call.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's just, and sometimes it would be for nothing too. Like there would be no exchange of information. It was just be for like, hey, I'm doing this, and I just want for us to like
stay in the call.
Yeah, so that I could hear her click, so that I could hear her, I don't know, write stuff, do stuff. And then for me it would be like, but I'm not contributing to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting, because I would never be able to do that, and I probably wouldn't be able to stand for that either, because I don't know, it just seems like you could be doing anything more productive than just
thank you. That's exactly my point.
Yeah, I get it if you guys are having a conversation that lasts that long or talking about other things, but to not do anything and just hey, I just want to hear you breathe, I don't know, that's kind of weird to me. But then again, I didn't start with the whole online thing either too, so it might just be something you guys do, I guess. Your generation.
No, it wasn't only that person. I've also met like another person before, when I was younger, maybe in my late teens or mid-teens, and it was so weird. And at the time, I was pretty much using Skype for like for voice calls, because MSN was very unstable. The connection was unstable, so then I moved to Skype. But yeah, I remember just having to stay on a voice call with them for such a long time, and I remember feeling like I was stuck. I was like imprisoned to my desktop/laptop.
Oh, what?
Yeah, because I couldn't end the call.
That's interesting. Oh, that was definitely before the age of like smartphones.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I never got into the whole Skype thing. I always saw it as something that businesses use or international people use
Oh, that's
in regards to
interesting.
like placing cheaper phone calls or anything like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just it's so interesting for me. Like meeting people online was through video games for sure,
Uh-huh.
and then you have like platforms to talk like TeamSpeak or Ventrilo, but other ones like MSN was used for communication purposes. But I just never got into the whole doing video calls and actual phone calls through those messaging
Mm-hmm.
applications.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting to hear a different perspective though.
Yeah. So definitely I have had good experience, but also bad ones. And and like all you have to do is basically know when to get out of a bad situation.
Hmm.
I know that there are dangers
Oh, definitely for sure.
to meeting people online because sure anonymity can definitely provide some sort of security because they don't know you, but also you don't know them, right?
Yeah.
So for all you know, they might be catfishing
Hmm.
or pretending to be someone else. You gotta watch out for yeah, you just gotta be careful. Gotta be
Yeah, the ability to be anonymous, I mean, doesn't that give you a pretty easy way out if you need to? If you go into those
okay.
situations, or is it not that simple?
It it does,
Hmm.
but at the same time, sometimes you open yourself up and then you share some more personal information like
Oh, goodness.
addresses and whatnot, and then you come to learn more about the person, and then you realize, oh no, we're not that compatible, and oh shit, like that. Okay, personally, I've been in such toxic friendships, and it's recently too, but I knew I had to like end the friendship. And well, a small part of me kind of worried, concerned about being doxxed
Oh, really?
because they know my address.
Oh, goodness.
But yeah, but I don't think they're that type of person. But still, there's a small part of me.
Yeah, I think most of the time when you meet someone, I mean, what am I saying? I'm generalizing here, but usually when you meet someone, you get to that point where you share your personal information. I think a part of you understands that they would never use it in a malignant way or anything like that, right? I would assume so.
Yeah,
But then again, it is online. You never know people completely until something happens, and then that's when you worry, I suppose.
yeah, definitely. And I remember there was a time where I wasn't comfortable sharing my address. So and I was consulting you about it too. I
I
was
know.
like
I know.
asking you about it. I was like, what do I do? Do I give him do I give that person a fake address? And then you were saying like, what about just changing a few digits so that like it in the return address?
Yeah, because
But
it's not going to matter with the return address for sure.
yeah, but thinking about it now, if I had doubts like that, that definitely was a red flag as to like I did not put my trust in that person.
Mm. Understandable.
Like I didn't trust them with my real address.
Definitely. And with the online world is very, it's a big old world. It's a big vast world out there. So there's lots of people. There's lots of different aliases. Different, one person can be three people online. They can have three different accounts and
Yeah.
things like that. So
Yeah.
I think you just have to be vigilant. And with the advent of things such as like, different messaging platforms, you don't always have to give out your phone number. You can give out, a fake Instagram or things like that. You can at least be able to vet that person before you actually even provide any identifying information like that. And obviously take some time to get to know a person before you decide on any of those things to give out anyway.
Yeah. Words of wisdom from Marv.
Yeah. So that sums up our discussion about online friendships. Appreciate you guys listening. Let us know if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to talk about in the future. You can always email us at theamtake@gmail.com. That's theamtake@gmail.com.
And tune in next week to join us on our talk about 30s being the new 20s. Make sure you don't miss it by following us with new episodes every Tuesday. So see you next week. Bye.
Bye.